Hi guys, welcome to Deep Diver. In this video, we will be discussing arrays, which is a data structure present in almost all the programming language. So before discussing that, let me go to my VS Code and create folder for today's lecture. So I will create a folder 8 underscore arrays, and inside this folder, I will create a file arrays.go. Here I will have the package main, and also I will declare our main function. Let me introduce a multi-line comment here, and now we are good to start. So array is a data structure that is used to store fixed size elements, and all the elements should be of similar type. Okay, so whenever we want to use this data structure, we need to give two things. One is the size of the data structure, which basically means how many elements will be there, and what type of elements. Let us suppose we want to create a data structure of size 100 and we provide the type as integer. Then in this array of size 100 we cannot store more than 100 elements, and also all the elements will be of the type integer. If we try to store any element other than this integer type, then we will get an error. Similarly, if we declare an array of size 1000 and of type string, then we cannot store more than 1000 elements in that array, and also all those 1000 elements will be of type string. If we try to store any other data type apart from string, it will give an error. Now let us move forward and see how we can declare and use these arrays. Like variables, we can also declare arrays using two ways, either using var keyword or colon equal. First, let us look into how we can do this using var keyword. First, we need to use the keyword var, then we need to provide the array name. I will give the array name as array1, and then we need to provide the type of the array. The type of the arrays consists of two things. First is the size. Let us say the size of the array is 4, and the second is what type of elements will be there. Let us say we want the elements of type integer. Okay. Now let us try to run this code. I will try to print this array first. So what do you think the output of this array will be? So here we are declaring an array of size 4 which will have elements of type integer, but we haven't initialized this array at all. What do you think the values of this elements will be? So whenever we declare an array without initializing its value, all the elements in that array will have the default 0 values corresponding to that data type. So here the data type is integer. So all the 4 elements in this array 1 will have its 0 value of type integer, which is 0 in this case. So if I try to run this code, let me open the terminal. Present working directory is Golang course. Let me change it to 8 underscore arrays. And now I will run this code using go run command, go run arrays.go. So here you can see all the elements are initialized with 0. Similarly, if I declare a different array, let us say this time of size 5, and all the elements we want is of type boolean. Okay, and if we print this array 2, what will be the output? So this time all the elements will be the 0 value corresponding to boolean, which is false. So this array's elements should all be initialized with false. So here you can see all the elements are false. Now let us suppose we want to change the values at a particular index. You might be aware that if you have an array of size n, then the index varies from 0 to n minus 1. So here for the array 1, let us suppose at the index 1 we want 1, and at the index 3 we want 100. Okay, And for this array 2, at index 2 we want true. If I run this code again, go run arrays.go, you can see at the index 0 for the first array, so 1 has been substituted, and for the third index 100 has been substituted. And for this array 2, at index 2 we are giving value true, so 0 1 2, so the and so at the index 2 we have true there. Now let us suppose we don't want to update the indexes like this, that at index 0 there will be 1, at index 3 there will be 100, but what we want is, while initializing this array only, we want to give these values. So how we can do that? So we'll use equal operator here, and this is the type of the array, and here at index 0 we want to keep 1, so we'll have 1, and at the index 3 we wanted 100. Okay, so by default index 1 and 2 will have 0, so let us put 0 there as well, and at index 3 we want 100, so we will put 100 there, and we'll get rid of this. So if I run this code again, go run arrays.go, you'll see we have the same output 100 100. Now let us suppose I want to add one more element, 500. What will happen? So this is giving a compile time error that index 4 is out of bounds. So as we have discussed before, if we try to add more elements than the size of the array, it will give a compile time error, and this is the case here. Now let us suppose instead of this 100 100 we want 10 20 30 40. Okay, so this time if I run this code again, go run arrays.go, you can see our output is 10 20 30 40 for array 1. Now what will happen if I do this? Here I am saying array 1 will be of size 4, but I am only giving 3 values, 10 20 30. What do you think is gonna happen? Let me run this code first. So you will see at the first 3 index we have 10 20 30, and for the fourth index, which is our last index, we haven't provided any values there, so corresponding to that index 0 value is being provided. Okay, now let us discuss this forward. Here I am specifying the size of the array, in this case 4. Now what I want is, I don't want to specify the size of the array, but Golang should determine the size of the array on the basis of the number of elements I provide while initializing the array. So if I give 3 elements there, the size of the array 1 should be 3. If I add 4 elements there, the size of this array 1 should be 4. Okay, so for that we can use 3 dots inside these square brackets, and it will basically tell the Go compiler that I am not providing the size of the array. Go find the size of the array on the basis of this array initialization. Okay, so if I run this code again, go run arrays.go, you will see the size of the array is 4. Let us also specifically print the size of the array as well. So for printing the size of the array, we have a function len, and here we can pass the array as an argument. Let me add a string as well, size of array 1. Okay, and let me clear this and try to run this code again. So here you can see it is printing size of the array 1 is 4, and this is the elements of the array. Now let us suppose I decrease one element, so this time the size of the array should be 3. So this time the size of the array is 3. So using these three dots instead of the size has an advantage that whenever we want to increase the number of elements or we want to decrease, we will not have to change the size here. The compiler will automatically determine the size of this array depending on how many values we pass while initializing this array. So now let us move forward and see how we can use colon equal operator instead of this where to initialize arrays. So to achieve that, we first get rid of this where keyword, and instead of this colon we replace this with colon equal. Okay, so let me clear the output here and run this code again. We can see the size of the array 1 is 3 and we have the array elements also here. So this 3 dots is also applicable in case of this colon equal as well. Now let us leave this array 1 like this and get rid of this array 2, and this time we want a new array which will have strings. So we can do it like this: array 2 colon equal, we want array of size 5, type should be a string, and we want to initialize the values as well. Let us say a b c d e, and if I print the value of this array 2, it should print from a to e, right? So this is printing. So this is how you can initialize array using colon equal operator. Okay, and one more thing I want to show you again. If I get rid of e here and provide only 4 elements, okay, so basically last index should have the null value corresponding to this string, which is empty string. So this array 2 should have a b c d and at last an empty string. So let me try to run this. Before that, let me print a statement here: fmt.println size of array 2, and for getting the size we can use len function, and this time we will pass array 2 as an argument. So go run arrays.go again, and here you will see the size of the array 2 is 5, but we have a b c d and at last we have an empty string. Okay, so this is all about initialization. Now let us look into some more important concept related to this array. In Go, arrays are value types. What I mean here, by this I mean whenever you pass an array to another function, a copy of the array will be passed to that function and the actual array will not get modified. Let us say if I add a function here, let me name it as modify array. Okay, and as parameter to this function I will pass an array of type string. Okay, and size is 5, right? So size we need to provide as 5, and here at index 0 I will try to assign the value. Let us say my name is Ravi. When we call this function modify array and pass the array 2, as arrays are value types, so to this function modify array, not the original array will get passed, but a copy of this array 2 will be made and that will be passed to this modify array. So if we print this array, let me add a string here as well, array 2 after modification. Okay, so here what we are doing, at index 0 we are replacing this a with Ravi, right? So if I try to print the value of this array, go run arrays.go, you see array 2 after modification, it is still the same array abcd. So this is what I meant when I told arrays are value types. So whenever you pass an array from one function to other, the copies get passed, the original one does not. and any modification to the copy does not affect the original one. Now let us see how we can traverse an array. We can traverse an array in two ways. One is using for with len function, and another is using for with range keyword. Let us first look into how we can do this using for with len. We first use the keyword for, and then we initialize a variable corresponding to the index. As array index start from 0, we initialize this I to be 0, and then we give a condition I is less than len of array 2. So here this len function will give how many elements are in the array, and we are iterating from 0 to len minus 1. Okay, and then we increment this I by 1. Now let us print the values inside this array too. We can do this by using this square bracket and then giving the indexes. We'll also add a space here, and I will add a new line in the end so that terminal cursor moves to the next line. Now let me clear and run this code again. This one corresponds to our new loop. Okay, now let us see how we can do this using for with range. Let me add a statement here, for with range, so that we can see the output clearly. So this range keyword, when we apply to an array, gives us two things. One is the index and the other is the value at that index. We can do it like this: for index and then the value and the colon equal, and we apply a range to this array 2, and here it is giving error, declared and not used. So let us use this fmt.println index, and then we are having the values. Okay, clear go run arrays.go. So here we can see at index 0 we have A, at index 1 B, and at last at index 4 we have an empty string. Okay, now let us suppose what we want is, we don't want to use this index at all, and we only want to use this value. So if I try to print this value only, so here we will get an error that this variable index is declared and not used, right? So how we can do that? So Go provides a special variable which is underscore, which we can use to ignore a value. So here this range returns two things, index and the value, but index we are storing here, it's in underscore, and if we are try to print this underscore, you will see an error is coming, cannot use underscore as value or type. Okay, so we use this underscore whenever we want to ignore values. So you can think of this underscore like a trash can, where you can put anything in there but you can't take it out. Okay, so whenever we want to ignore any values, we can use underscore. In this case we are ignoring the index, right? So if I run this code again, we'll see for with range, and this time only A, B, C, D are getting printed, and this last line is corresponding to the empty string which we have in this array 2. Okay, now let us discuss one last thing, which is multi-dimensional array. Till now we have been creating a single dimension array. Now let us move forward and create a multi-dimensional array. I will name this multi-dimensional array as matrix, and let us say we want a 3 cross 3 array. Okay, so this array will have 3 rows and 3 columns, and we want values there of type integer, and let us say we also initialize all 3 rows. So we put the values in first row as 1 2 3, second row as 4 5 6, and the third row as 7, 8, 9. Okay, now let us suppose we want to print this. So fmt dot print ln matrix, and before this let us add one line multi-dimensional array. I will copy paste this from above and run this code now. So we can see this multi-dimensional array is getting printed with all its values. Now let us see how we can iterate through this matrix. So we already know to iterate through a matrix, either we can use for with len and for with range. These two we already have discussed for a single dimensional array. Now let me move to this for with range directly for this matrix. Traversing this matrix with this for with len, you can do it on your own. So let us use for with range and traverse this matrix. Since it is a two-dimensional array and we will be iterating row by row, so when we apply a range over this matrix, it will give in this array this whole row will be there, and this index will be 0 corresponding to this row. If you want to check this, let us print this fmt.println index and array. So here it is giving error expected one expression, so we need to use colon equal, not only colon. If I run the code again, you can see this is the output corresponding to this for with range. So here it is printing the index 0, 1, 2 and the corresponding rows. Okay, now let us say we want to print the values one by one, not like this. So we'll need one more loop. So this time we will iterate over this array, and this time also we'll get two values, index 2 and the actual value at a particular row and column, and this time we will range over array. And let us print this fmt.print value, and I will add a space here. So here I want to ignore these indexes. So how we can do that? We can use underscore. Here also we can use underscore. Let me clear. If I run the code again, you can see corresponding to this nested for loop, we have this output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this is the way using range keyword you can iterate over multi-dimensional array. So in our case it was a two-dimensional array. This array can be 3 dimension, 4 dimension and n dimension as well, where n can be any number. This was all about array in this video. See you in the next video.